the art of poetry as an English main lesson often is at the beginning of the year, and it also reaches way back to the origins of the whole world. How does our world even begin? Numerous stories, in fact, cast that origin as happening through the activity of the Word. And, of course, in our Western world, the Judeo-Christian story of the Bible in Genesis is the comprehensive version of that which influences all of us, whatever our beliefs may be. They see the Word creating the world. They see the Word creating the human being in the image of the Creator, so that the human being, through using words, recreates the world. And then they learn how to work with vowels and consonants consciously, to work with rhythms, short, 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 long, long, short, short. They learn how to work with accents, with alliteration. They understand how images work, how similes work, how metaphors work, how symbols work, so that through the ear and the eye, the students become conscious of the way poetry, in fact, can recreate human experience and engender it in others. The Greek history, in a way, kind of a culminating gesture for the whole 10th grade year, in the wake of the English students, I should say, studying the whole Bible and becoming able, with this vast forest of stories, which we all know the various versions of, they become able to see patterns throughout that. They become able to see how one image can evolve throughout the whole Bible, yielding a picture of an evolving consciousness of all of humanity. They also study the Odyssey, so it's really an epic year, the 10th grade. They study the Odyssey, in which, after Troy crumbles, Odysseus steps forth alone, journeying home, and he and his men go through various experiences. He finally is left absolutely alone when all of the men die. He travels through, in a way, the whole known world and becomes mature enough in soul eventually to be able to reunite with his wife, with his father, with his son, even his dog, and re-heal his kingdom. And in the wake of that, the Greek history sees not only the birth of epic, dramatic and lyric literature, but also the birth of philosophy, the sequence especially through Socrates, Plato with his attention to the eternal ideals, Aristotle with his attention to the earth around, and the birth of the notion of democracy, which has become so much of the world in which we live. Here is a 10th grade poem about poetry. A sonnet, the hardest form of all, on first looking into poetry. When we first met from afar, I was hesitant to explore it. It had always scared me, the writ. Yet I went forth prepared to die, telling myself it was only a lie. But then it was as if something lit, and something turned what once was frit. Frit's just sort of sand. And something turned what once was frit into glass. I was no longer shy. Now I journey over green grass. Finally I am free to roam through stories too good to pass. And now I feel quite at home. All alone, that's the essential experience in this time, all alone, but safe and warm as I burrow myself deep within a poem. It's almost like a new sheath being created. Speaking of which, here's a sonnet, 10th grade, about, well, you might say, adolescence. It's called Hatching. Her splintered world lies in shards around her. The warm, dark sphere where nothing had a name has crumbled, and she wakes to cold and pain. Freedom, fear, confusion, all have found her. In one great sudden rush, they try to drown her. Her lifeblood rushes madly through her veins. Her naked, half-formed, fragile, ugly frame no longer has the sheltering walls that bound her. She doesn't feel these sheaths. No longer has the sheltering walls that bound her. She struggles to stand on delicate, unformed feet, to focus on some distant lights, the angel's eyes, or perhaps the angel's eyes. They look so quiet, calm, clear-minded, sweet. She reaches her fingers toward the sky. Gently, her new heart starts to beat. She spreads her airy wings, begins to fly.